to our Gold Learning viewers. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IB-CLC and Public Relations Manager and MC for Gold Learning. Welcome. I'm sitting down today with Dr. Carrie-Ellen Briere, and we're just chatting about her upcoming presentation here at our GOLD Perinatal Conference. She'll be presenting on Monday, October 17th, so be sure to tune in there. And she's going to be talking about the importance of direct breastfeeding and breast milk in the neonatal intensive care unit. Welcome, Carrie-Ellen. It's great to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm very excited to hear more about what is happening in your world, and there's just some very exciting things that I've been learning about you. So first of all, though, I'd love it if you could just introduce yourself to our audience that's listening in today. Tell them a little bit about yourself and your experience as a NICU nurse, and then perhaps you can tell us some of the changes that you have experienced in the use of breast milk in your working environment.
Sure, of course. So I'm a NICU nurse. I went to school because I actually knew that I wanted to work in the NICU, and I always tried to figure out how I was going to make that happen. I came upon nursing and was really excited about it, and I have not looked back since. So I started working in the NICU, and at the same time, I also completed my PhD because there were a lot of questions I was seeing when I was working clinically that I wanted to take the next step and look at and see how I can make healthcare and the NICU better for patients and families and affect infants. So things that I've seen in breast milk and what I'm passionate about is moms being able to meet their breastfeeding goals and infants getting the best nutrition that they can while they're in the NICU, because we know that premature babies are at risk for so much bad things that can happen, and we really want to do everything that we can to help them have the best start in life. And one of those things that we know is the receipt of breast milk. For me, I know in my time as a NICU nurse that there have been changes even just recently in the past 10 years. One of the biggest ones that I think is important is the receipt of donor milk. When I first started practicing, it was kind of first starting to come out in the unit that I was in. And that's really exciting because I think it shows where we are in understanding the importance of breast milk, um, separate from direct breastfeeding and how infants are receiving milk. So I think that's the biggest change. And I think that culturally in the United States and around the world, breast milk and breastfeeding is becoming more and more talked about and promoted, and I think that's really exciting for the NICU too, because I think that the rates are going up there because rates we know are increasing around the world, and I think in the full-term population and additionally in the preterm population too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that we're definitely talking about it more. We're seeing those changes. And of course, a lot of that is due to you. I mean, I know that, this having this passion for so long and working in this area and just continuing the walk, to make sure that you continue to find that research, fulfill what needs to happen on the, right down to what's happening on the wards is just phenomenal. And that really leads me to my next very exciting question, because it's about what you're doing right now. So your current research is actually on stem cells in breast milk, which again, I think the words were, I just wanted to say, wow. And so I was asking, could you tell me, can you give me a brief overview of what your research really involves?
Sure, of course. So when I first started doing research, I was really focused on the clinical aspects of breastfeeding because we know there's so much there to study in the NICU. However, I kind of always had this urge that I wanted to kind of take it the next step further and incorporate some bench science into my nursing practice, because I think that's something that's really special, that as a nurse, I have the ability to do that, accelerated bench to bedside knowledge. So what my research right now is, I learned a couple years ago that I first heard of stem cells in breast milk. And this was really exciting to me because we all know that breast milk is so good for infants. Every infant, preterm and full-term infants. And there's a lot of things in breast milk that we understand about why breast milk is so good, but there's also a lot of effects of breast milk that we don't quite understand why it happens. So things that happen later in life from breast milk, we don't really understand quite that linkage. And when I first heard about the stem cells and got into that literature, I realized that, this might be that link. This might be something that explains why the receipt of something, so early in life is part of us and moves on throughout the lifespan and really impacts the health of infants. So my research right now is when I first started looking at stem cells, a lot of the research was actually at that time, all the research was in moms of healthy full-term babies. And as NICU and healthcare professionals, we know that there is so much different between a preterm mom and a full-term mom, and that even preterm breast milk and full-term breast milk is different. So my thought was that we need to look at preterm moms because this population is so vulnerable and so important that we need to understand the differences between preterm breast milk stem cells and full-term mother breast milk stem cells. And in that, that it leads us to a huge area of research which I'm kind of looking at now, and the impact on the preterm infant and what these cells are there and what they're doing. And that's kind of the next step of research.
Well, that's wonderful. I think just, having these, although this is very scientific, but so important because I think it just gives everybody the foundation for, no room for any error. When we go to our workplaces and we say, okay, this is how it needs to happen because this is the value, this is the foundation. And I know for some people they may think, well, breast milk is important, duh, but realistically,
Mm-hmm.
we want to know, we want to invest in these things so that we can know the long-term outcomes and understand exactly how it's working. And so I hold a lot of value in it. I love it. I'm a little geeky when it comes to the science too. So I love hearing what you're doing, and for sure I'll want to hear follow-ups too, Carrie Ellen. So
Yeah, of course.
as you continue on your journey, it will be great to hear some of those outcomes as well. Okay, so lastly but not least, and without giving away too much more, because I want our audience, and I'm sure they're getting excited as they listen to you today. But what are you most, looking forward to that the people coming to listen to you will take away from this presentation?
I think that I'm most looking forward to just talking about breast milk and breastfeeding because there's so many aspects of it in the NICU that, we might take for granted that, moms are pumping and they put their milk away and we use it and we have all these great things, but we also have all these challenges. And I think that's one of the biggest thing as clinical professionals. I want to give information to these healthcare professionals listening to this presentation to be able to understand more about breast milk and scientifically why it's so important, differently than what they might have understood before. So I don't want to give away too much, like you said, but I am really excited to talk about it. And I really am excited to interact with people and hear what their thoughts about this future of breast milk.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Carrie-Ellen, for sitting down with me here today. It's been fun. I've learned so much already from you, and like I said, I'm excited to hear more as go on your journey. But mostly, it'll be great to have you be part of our Gold Perinatal Online Conference. And again, Monday, October 17th is your date with us. So I'm excited to be listening in that day as well. Well, thanks again, everyone. It's been a pleasure sitting down and chatting with one of our speakers with our Gold Perinatal Conference, and we'll look forward to having you all back with us again. Bye bye for now.